This is the trick breath, and it looks like this. To start this trick, you're going to set yourself up for a 1.5 mount, but instead of hitting the top string and making the yo-yo go around the index finger of your yo-yo hand, you are still going to hit the top string, but you're going to make the yo-yo go around the index finger of your opposite hand. And there's going to be some requirements you're going to need to set yourself up for later on in the trick. Number one is, as you hit this initial mount, you have to start with having the string on the base of your index finger of your yo-yo hand immediately when you start to hit this 1.5-ish mount here. And the way to do this is you're going to need to create some separation with the string, because if you put it on the base of your index finger, these two strings end up getting close enough together where the yo-yo could hit both of them like this. So to get it out of the way, what you can do is from the throw-in when you're setting up for the 1.5 mount, you'll see that I take my ring and my pinky finger of my yo-yo hand and grab onto the string coming from my yo-yo finger. And that way, when I'm going into this 1.5 mount, I then have enough separation with both of the strings there. The next part is we're going to make the yo-yo rock the other direction, and it's going to swing over to the yo-yo side of your body, and it's going to go over top of the index finger of your yo-yo hand here, and you are going to, from there, try to swing the yo-yo up and hit it like you're hitting a 1.5 mount. From here, you're going to need to drop one of the strings from the index finger of your opposite hand. And the way to make sure that you drop the right string is to look at the two strings coming out from the bottom of your index finger here. You have one that is going directly to your yo-yo finger, and then you have one that's going to the end of your index finger of your yo-yo hand. And you need to hold on to the string that is going directly to your yo-yo finger. So you can even pluck it with the thumb of your opposite hand and curl your index finger in to drop the other string. To make this element look as good as possible, what you're going to do is drop that string off the index finger of your opposite hand as you are mounting on the second mount here. And from here, all you are in is essentially in a 1.5 mount, but you will be rolled over with an extra wrap around the index finger of your yo-yo hand. So from here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up the first and second slack of 4 slacks that are in the trick breath. So what we're going to do is we're not going to teach you the first slack right away. We're going to teach you what the yo-yo does first, and then we'll throw in the first slack element later. So what we're going to do is, starting from our 1.5 mount with an extra wrap, we're going to roll the yo-yo in the direction so that way it undoes that extra wrap, and now we're just in the regular 1.5 mount. And once you're in the regular 1.5 mount, what you're going to do is take the thumb of your yo-yo hand, and what you're going to do is you're going to take this string that is coming from the index finger of your opposite hand and push it to the webbing of your thumb so that way you can pinch it like so. And once you have that pinched, you can then set yourself up for what is a variation of the trick Crazy 8, which is like that. But we're going to be setting up the Crazy 8 variation a little bit differently than you would normally do the Crazy 8 trick. And so what you're going to do is, instead of actually pinching both of the strings like you would in Crazy 8, you're only going to have the webbing of your thumb in here, but the loop coming from the yo-yo is actually not going to be pinched at all. And the tough part about this is we got to somehow, during the Crazy 8 trick, make sure that this loop right here doesn't fall off your finger during the Crazy 8 portion of the trick. And so one advice I can give to you is, as you swing it over, make sure that you do the trick as slow as possible, but without stopping the motion of the yo-yo. And so the way that you can do it as slow as possible is to try to elongate your rolls by moving your arms in a more of a flashy way rather than just making the yo-yo roll with your wrist doing most of the work. So make sure that you get your hands and arms involved, and you can even roll it in such a way that your hands end up at least eye level or even above your head. And so if you slow down the roll enough, that will be just enough for you to make sure that the loop coming from your index finger will not end up falling off as you do the roll like so. So once you end up doing the crazy 8 and you learn how to do this element, we can then try to incorporate the slack into it. So the first step, again, is going to be, we are in the 1.5 mount with an extra wrap. We will then unwrap it and continue going that direction with the pinch on our thumb. And what we're going to do is, in order to incorporate the slack, you're going to swing the yo-yo from the 1.5 over to the other side as the first part of crazy 8. And we're going to start to throw the slack at this first part of crazy 8 right here. And once we do that, the slack is going to carry around, and you're going to extend the rest of your fingers out like so, pointing to the opposite side of your body, and that will swing the slack over to the other side, where you can then catch it with your opposite finger as the yo-yo is rolling on the second part, exiting out of the crazy 8. Once you do that, you'll have exited out and you'll be in a 1.5 mount, but with the index finger of your opposite hand curled in like so. And that is the first slack of breath there. So we need to now set ourselves up for the second slack of breath. So the yo-yo is still moving around in this direction. So we're going to continue to swing it around, but we're going to make it go over top of our hand, and we're going to intercept it with our thumb of our yo-yo hand as well. And we're going to swing it like this, where the yo-yo ends up going inside these strings as you roll around, and then the thumb is a placeholder to make sure that the yo-yo will go to the inside of these two strings that are in between your two hands here. Once you have that set up, you can then do this trick pretty much in 2 steps, and then we'll combine the 2 steps later. So we'll throw the slack around like this, where you're going to start from the outside and throw the slack to the inside, and make sure that you twist your hand so you can allow the slack to carry around like so. Once you catch it in this position here, you can then swing it over into the 1.5 mount. And so, to put that together, that's going to be, we will throw it over into this position, and then we will throw the slack over and carry the yo-yo over at the same time like so. Again, you're going to want to make sure that you move the yo-yo in a constant motion, but as slow as you possibly can, and that will allow yourself to have room in order to throw and catch the slack as the yo-yo is moving. So make sure that you have an elongated motion with your arm during the second slack as well. From there, we will finally be in a 1.5 mount, and what we're going to be performing is we're going to essentially take a roll out of the 1.5 mount, but it won't actually roll to make an extra wrap around the yo-yo. It will end up rolling to the inside of this top string here, and then it will pretty much go in between the 2 strings that you have in between your hands, and it will just be a silly little roll essentially that goes around the index finger of your yo-yo hand. And once it goes around, you can then curl your index finger to get rid of that extra wrap. And some tips in order to get this to happen is, number 1, in order to go in between these 2 strings, you should separate it out by taking the 3 fingers of your yo-yo hand and pulling the string out of the way like this. And then you can also cheat with your thumb as well, so that way you have plenty of room in order to get the yo-yo in between the 2 strings. So that first and second slack sequence is really hard to get down, and having the breakdown will help. But to really make this trick look good, you're going to need to influence some elegance on this trick by making sure that the yo-yo is fluid all the way through the first slack and the second slack as well. And so when you're doing this trick, you should always be having the yo-yo moving to make sure that the trick looks as elegant as possible. And so from here is going to be probably the toughest part of breath, is you're going to be in that 1.5 mount, but now you're going to be throwing a 1.5 mount suicide and catching that suicide. And there's going to be a lot more parts to it as well, but the important part is that when you throw and catch this suicide, you have to catch the suicide absolutely perfectly. And so the suicide is more difficult by default because you have less string to catch it with than you do with a regular suicide. And so one thing to work on is you're going to really need to be paying attention to your string tension. Even though we have 4 slacks in here and that your string tension should always be perfectly neutral for those slacks, is you shouldn't just be checking your string tension like this with the whole length of the string. But since the suicide in this trick is dealing with the first 5 or 6 inches of the string, you're going to need to be checking that area of the string coming directly from the yo-yo and seeing if that is twisted up. And that will tell you if you have the suicide loop you need in order to hit it perfectly without any twists, and make sure it will hit your pointer finger as well. And so the way to check that is get as close as you can to the yo-yo, pull the string about 5 inches apart, let this slack hang over here, but just look at this slack here and see if there's any twist as well. And that way you will know if you're ready to throw the suicide during the trick. And so after you throw that suicide and you catch it, what you're going to be doing also, instead of just doing a regular 1.5 suicide, is you need to set yourself up for the third slack and breath. So you notice that as I throw the suicide, I'm doing something with my yo-yo hand as well, where I am pinching a string in my thumb, and then I am holding onto a slack as I throw the suicide. And so the way to do that is you're going to be letting go of this 1.5 mount at the same time as you pinch the string coming from this finger over top and putting it in the webbing of your thumb and grabbing the string right there, and make sure you pinch it to set up for the slack. Once you have that pinch set up, you can then throw the suicide, and then now the slack will be hanging right over here. After you catch the suicide perfectly, the slack is going to be swinging back towards the yo-yo side of your body, and it's going to swing towards the opposite side of your body, and then you're going to throw that slack into the yo-yo in this fashion, where the slack loop coming from your thumb, that side of it has to go into the gap of the yo-yo, and then the other part of the slack has to go to the outside of the yo-yo away from your body, and that will set you up for the final slack and breath. So from here we are now ready to drop the string off of our thumb, and as we are doing that, we're also going to be curling in our index finger of our opposite hand and then pinching the string with our thumb as well, so that way the yo-yo is now hanging underneath our opposite hand, and we have the string hanging between our two hands, forming a slack that we're going to be using later. As we are dropping the yo-yo off of that mount, the yo-yo is going to want to swing around our opposite hand, and so we're going to let the yo-yo swing around the opposite hand and continue around until it hits the index finger of our yo-yo hand and let it drape over top like so. One other thing you're going to need to do is you're going to want to let the string slide in between the pinch a few inches, so that way you can have the yo-yo not here, but you want to change the hold so that way it's more lined up with these proportions, and that will help you hit the slack later on. And so you're going to want to make sure that you can slide the string as the yo-yo is swinging around to make the trick look more fluid. And so as you learn how to let the string slide, you're also going to have to learn how to transfer the pinch. So after you let the string slide as it's swinging around, you're also going to be transferring the pinch, not from just your thumb to your index finger, but you're going to transfer the pinch to your middle finger to your index finger of your opposite hand by the time you reach this hold. So from there, we are going to now go for the actual slack once we hit that hold. And so the yo-yo is still swinging around, and we're going to let the yo-yo swing to the opposite side of our body, continuing its motion. And now we are going to be picking up the slack with our thumb of our opposite hand, and it's going to be the string coming straight from your yo-yo finger here, so pick that up, and that will form the slack loop on your opposite hand. You'll then swing the yo-yo to the opposite side, and you'll then throw the yo-yo into the slack like so, where the yo-yo is going to actually be hitting the slack pretty much like coming in from the outside, and it's going to be hidden underneath your hand, so you're going to need to really learn how to position your hand. And to position it, you're going to be moving your thumb forward and be pushing the pinch of your index finger and your middle finger. You're going to be pulling that backwards, so that way the slack is now not facing this direction, but now facing this direction. And as it's facing that direction, you can then throw it on the outside loop of the slack away from your body. Once you hit that slack, you'll end up in a mount that looks like this. And all that mount is just a trapeze where you pick up with the index finger of your yo-yo hand, and then you pick up with the thumb of your opposite hand on the string segment coming from your yo-yo finger like so. And that's the mount you will be in after you hit the slack. And so all we are doing from here is the final dismount of breath, which is you just simply dropping those two strings off of your fingers that I just showed you that you pick up. And so we're going to add some flair to it as well by making the yo-yo pop up into the air as well. The first way to dismount it is that you can pretty much form like a bucket mount, where you separate the strings apart from your body, so that way it looks like the two string segments that are coming across here are actually separated out to the point where you can pop the yo-yo up in between them and then drop the strings and land in the trapeze. The next way is you can actually just drop the string from the index finger of your yo-yo hand and create what looks like a chopsticks hold, pop the yo-yo up in between your two fingers, and then drop it off of your thumb and land in the trapeze like so. Either way, you can do either dismount, just as long as you add the pop to add some flair to it and not just simply drop the strings, and that will make the dismounted breath look a lot better. And so there are plenty of different factors to breath where it's going to be really difficult to figure out, like the first and second slack is really hard to get a hold of, where the yo-yo is moving as the slack is moving as well, and you're going to have to get used to that concept. The idea of throwing a mini suicide while trying to throw a slack into it is going to be hard to figure out, and even that last slack is going to take a lot of effort in order to master. So there's all these different places in breath where it's a good concept for you to learn if you want to become an advanced yo-yo player, but it's also extremely frustrating. This trick was invented really early in the yo-yo days, and it has been plaguing plenty of the greatest players in the world, including myself. So just really work at this trick. It's a really tough one to master, so don't expect to always be hitting it all the time. You're just going to be able to hit it a few times once in a while. But in any case, if you can at least hit it with the fluidity that I showed you before, then you are well on your way to becoming a great yo-yo player. And that is the trick breath.